BYU 91, Arizona State 81. I predicted that BYU would win by double figures. That's exactly what they did. This game felt uglier than this, I'll be honest. They were up as much as 17 with a minute and a half left, and Arizona State kind of quietly made this closer than it should have been. Richie Saunders, sensational yet again. This guy has been one of the more underappreciated players in the entire country. 26 points, 6 for 11 from three last night. Yegor Deming continues to just do what Yegor does best. He doesn't need to score for this basketball team with the reimagined BYU identity. He had 10 assists to 4 turnovers last night in 26 minutes and only 2 points, but it didn't matter because they play through other guys now and it works. Dion, could I please get your slogan, your catchphrase? Could I hear it?
My dog Nell, 5 of 6 from three. He's a shooter. He's a shooter.
Nelly Nell, special 5 for 6, 18 points last night. Dallin Hall, even a good game, 13 points, 2 for 4 off the bench. I've dogged that guy all season, and he gave you a good one last night. So, yeah, I don't need to be any louder or more exaggerated about it. I'm in on the BYU bandwagon right now. This is a team I can buy fully into the March upside of, with Saunders as a superstar, with Demon as a pure setup guy, and with a bunch of role players, 3 and D guys around them. I just see the vision. I thought they were definitively better than Arizona State last night, and they coasted to a very easy road win, which, quite frankly, only great teams do that. Only great teams go on the road and coast to double digit wins. That's what BYU did last night.
Richie Saunders back next year, by the way. Assuming he stays at BYU, of course, but that's somebody that could play with AJ Devanza. I think that's like his emergence is an important note for them, right? Like moving forward. Um, Yegor, another guy that might be back next year. I watched the full episode before we hopped on here. You guys met? Is he 17th on the latest mock draft, right?
He's fallen in the mocks, but Yegor's gone.
He's
Yegor could be mocked in the 50s, and I think he'll be back in Russia.
That's fair. That's fair. But I think the Yegor aspect of things, like it is it's becoming interesting at least, right? It's getting to the point where like some of that bag talk BYU has, Yegor is picking the phone up at least. Like there might be like a conversation. He probably still goes, like you mentioned, but there's a conversation. Cannon Catchings, man. Like, eh, I mean, your agent just signed with North Carolina, so that's definitely something to keep on the radar. I feel bad for Cannon. I'm gonna just be honest. I do think there's an element of him doing this to himself a little bit with his play, but to completely fall out of the rotation as a guy that was, I mean, going into this year, um, what like a lotto pick or at least like top 20 guy, right?
Yeah. I mean, in
Yeah,
theory, he was like an OT guy and young, but like, yeah, the upside, it was kind of like Will Riley. I think they expected they were getting Will Riley, and instead they got an unplayable guy.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. It's tough. Obviously, like he decommitted from Purdue, went to BYU, and I would assume the part of the reason is he was under the impression that this would get him to the next level, and it's not. It's not, unless the next level is like the ACC. But you know what I mean. Like I feel bad for him, but overall, this team is phenomenal again. This team looks like the team that we fell in love with. Prior to the season starting. And they're doing it in ways I don't think anybody expected. And if
Yeah.
you get the Yegor Demon that can put the ball in the basket, because it's not like he can't score the ball. He isn't. But like I do think he has the ability to score a little bit. If you get him scoring a little bit more, if you unlock anything in Cannon Catchings, you're talking about a team that can make a deep, deep run here.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think you just got to take Cannon Catchings for what he is and like realize it's going to be a game to game thing. And there will be days where Cannon Catchings is like a 18 point guy where he hits six threes, and there will be games that he gives you 0 in 10 minutes. But the bottom line, BYU is so deep that they've been able to navigate that. And again, I give Kevin Young a lot of credit for leaning into the right guys on a game to game basis, getting people bought in for the most part. I just, again, the only gripe I have with this team right now is I still think they do a little too much Dallin Hall in close games, but this wasn't a close game, and Dallin Hall was making his shots, so play as much as you possibly can. Um, I just buy it. I think the formula works here. You think about March upside, BYU's going to have to be a team that, they'll win one, maybe two games they're supposed to. And then if you want to talk further than that, they're going to have to upset some teams. But they
Mhm.
profile as a team that can do that. You want teams that have an NBA talent, that shoot a bunch of threes when you're looking for good upset candidates. That's exactly what BYU is. And you mix in, I think this defense is playing better lately. Now, if they give up 81 to Arizona State, I get it. They're still a team that on most nights wants to just come and outscore you. But I think in general, this is a team that has shown an ability to compete defensively in a way that I didn't feel was always there earlier in the season. And I just see it. I see the vision right now. They're only 27th on KenPom, and that feels about 10 to 15 spots too low for me right now.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think this team's playing phenomenal. And maybe this is the issue. I don't know if you do this too, or like anybody else does this with BYU. It doesn't feel like they're in the Big 12 to me still. And I think I look at them a little differently because I still think they're that or like the Mountain West team that they used to be. And I think that's potentially part of the issue everyone kind of has with like anointing BYU is like this is one of the best teams in the country, which I do think they're a top 10 to 15 team in the country easily right now. And they're probably playing even higher than that, but it's hard to remember that they're actually in the Big 12 to me for some reason.
Yeah, no, it is. I hear you. I'm not even going to push back on that really at all. So, um, yeah, I'm buying. Do you have a sense? Like I really think this team could have Final Four upside. What do you think is realistic for their March chances? Obviously, depending on the draw, but
I think second weekend you have to get there if you're Kevin Young. I think you have to get to the second weekend. Once you're in that second weekend, in my opinion, anything's possible. I think giving Kevin Young's like he speaks about this as an NBA program. Giving Kevin Young a week off in between the second round and the Sweet 16, he feels like the type of coach that's going to come with something. To where you don't want to be that team he's playing in the Sweet 16 because his game plan is going to be on another level because of all the time he's had to implement it. So I would say I think they can make the Final Four. I do believe you're going to have to get something out of Jaeger scoring wise to get there, though, especially if Cannon's going to be unplayable.
you really think so? You don't think this whole just like Jaeger just get us 10 assists and that's it is sustainable?
I don't think. I mean, I love Nell. I love Richie Saunders. I love Dallin Hall. I think they're all like phenomenal players. I don't. I see them having bad games in the tournament here and there. I don't personally believe in the tournament that shooting travels a ton. To be honest, I think some of the different stages that they play on, the different arenas, the magnitude, the size, like whatever, however you want to describe it, I think it lends to some bad games. Now they could get hot and just stay hot throughout the whole tournament, but I would lean more towards like they're gonna need something out of Yegor. I think.
Do you think Jaeger is capable when the time comes?
I I've said this like from the jump, and it's I'm gonna stick to it. I think it's wrong probably, but I'm gonna stick to it. It's been my take on Yegor the whole time. He reminds me of Luca, where you just don't know what he's going to do. Like how like we talk about like so and so doesn't care, so and so doesn't do this, so and so doesn't do that. There's moments where Luca legitimately is out there and like he could do a lot more than he wants to, but he's like, hey, we're gonna win this game anyway. So why would I score 50? I'm gonna move the ball around. I'm gonna score my 20 points and keep it pushing. I feel like Yegor is capable of doing more than he has. He's just doing enough to get this team across the finish line until they need him to do more to get them across the finish line.
Okay. I hope that's not where this team goes identity wise because I don't think he has that in him. I think
I
it
think
was a
that's
mirage in the November stretch where he was on fire. And I think the team's a lot better since they've moved away from trying to get him to do that. So we'll see. But I think you're right. Upside wise, sure. The upside, if Yegor was playing like he did in the exhibitions, it's unmatched. I think it's highly unlikely we're going to see that again. And more importantly, we don't need to for this team to make a Final Four run. So we'll see. All right. Congrats to BYU. Wildly impressive performance. I like when my predictions come true. And my prediction came true. They rolled. Good job.